Welcome back to another episode of the Breakthrough Bestie podcast. I am your host, Angela Brock, money strategist for women who are ready to take control of their finances and build real wealth. We are continuing the series on money, identity, and decision fatigue. So, if you haven't watched any of the previous videos, I encourage you to go back and take a listen. One of the biggest myths that we hear about money and is that confidence comes from earning more. I remember thinking that, man, once I reach a certain income level, then things would finally feel settled. Everything would feel clear and secure. I wouldn't be second guessing how I spend my money. I wouldn't be wondering if I'm making the right decisions. I would finally feel in control. But here is what most women, myself included, didn't realize, and that was confidence doesn't automatically arrive with my income. I could earn more than I've ever earned before and still feel uncertain, unstable, not irresponsible, but just not fully confident. And this confuses a lot of women because logically it feels like confidence should just follow income. I mean, if there is more money, there should be more certainty, more peace, more control, more security. But that's not exactly how it works. And that's not what happens because income changes your numbers, but it doesn't automatically change your visibility. And visibility is what's going to create the confidence, not your income alone. You see, confidence isn't created by how much money you make. It's created by how clearly you see your money. Because when something feels clear, your brain starts to relax. When something feels unclear, your brain stays alert. Even if the number is large, even if everything is technically fine, uncertainty doesn't just disappear because your income has increased. Clarity is the only thing that's going to remove that uncertainty. So think about it if you were to walk into a room with the lights off. This is a room that you are familiar with, so you know the layout, you know that the room is large enough, you know where things are placed, right? But it doesn't matter how familiar you are with that room. It doesn't even matter if the room is large enough and you know that you're not going to bump into anything. What happens because the lights are off and you can't see clearly, your brain moves cautiously. Right? So your movements, your behavior is cautious. Now imagine turning the lights on. Nothing in the room has changed, but your confidence changes immediately because you can see. Your financial life works the same way. Confidence comes from visibility, not size. Does that make sense? As your income increases, financial life often becomes more complex because there's more accounts, there's more decisions, there's more movement, there's more responsibility. And complexity without clarity can create quiet uncertainty. It's not going to necessarily create more fear or even instability, just a lack of full visibility. And when visibility is incomplete, confidence remains incomplete. Not because you're somehow now incapable of making decisions, but because clarity hasn't fully caught up with the growth of your income just yet. And this is why some women who earn less can feel completely confident, and why some women who earn significantly more still feel uncertain. Again, it's not about capability, it's more about visibility. When you can see clearly, your brain relaxes. When you can't see clearly, your brain stays alert. Alert doesn't mean that something is wrong, but it's a signal that means something is unclear. So imagine carrying a bag like when you're traveling and you have your passport, right? So you know this bag belongs to you. You know it because you packed it, so you know what's inside. And even though you haven't set the bag down when you're traveling or you've kept it within eyes reach, there's just this distance, right? Because you haven't looked in the bag, you haven't just checked to make sure everything is still there, even though there wasn't an opportunity for it to leave your hands. Like there's just this subtle sense of disconnection. It's not even a fear. Well, sometimes it could turn into a fear, but it's just distance, right? But the minute you open that bag and you just do a quick check and you pull out your passport, right? You see that nothing has changed, that distance disappears. right? Your financial life works the same way. That clarity of understanding and seeing that follows from the visibility of looking in the bag, it reconnects you. That confidence that, okay, I have everything, I am in control of all of my possessions, that follows the clarity. So, if you have ever felt like, you know what, I should feel more or I should be more confident because I make a certain amount of money, there is nothing really wrong with you or even that perspective. That confidence, though, doesn't come from numbers alone. Confidence is going to come from clarity because clarity removes uncertainty. Uncertainty is what creates the hesitation, not the income level. Responsible women or financially responsible women are taught that earning more is the goal. And income, I do know that income creates more opportunity, but clarity is what creates the confidence, right? And so I would say that clarity should be the goal, not necessarily earning more money, because confidence isn't about having more, it's about understanding what you have. And understanding creates the certainty. Certainty creates the confidence, not effort, not income, understanding. Does that make sense? So now I want you to ask yourself honestly, has my income increased? But has my confidence increased in the same way? And if not, why hasn't it increased in the same way? Because if confidence hasn't fully caught up, it's not because you're doing something wrong, but it's because clarity hasn't fully caught up yet. And clarity, again, is what changes everything. So here is the shift that most women never experience. And it's not because they can't, but because no one has ever really shown them how to move from earning money to seeing it fully and clearly. When clarity arrives, confidence arrives with it. And it's not forced, it's not manufactured, it's just natural because your brain no longer feels uncertainty, it feels awareness. And here is the anchor for you that I want you to meditate on or just kind of reframe how you view yourself when it comes to the confidence w- with your income. Confidence doesn't come from how much you earn, it comes from how clearly you see. And clarity is what allows you to lead your financial life intentionally. So, in the next video, we're going to talk about the identity shift that changes everything because once clarity begins to form, you stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to figure money out and you start seeing yourself as someone who directs your money intentionally. And that's where everything begins to change. So, if this video helped you to see your money differently, then please subscribe so that you can continue building the habits that lead to real wealth. And remember these two things. One, your breakthrough starts when you decide to take control. And then two, wealth isn't built by accident, it is built by the decisions that you make today. I'll see you next time.